Hello, and welcome to what I'm calling tentatively as Dice Chatter. It's a tabletop RPG podcast, talk show. I don't even fucking know. I'm here with some friends of mine. We'll go in order. Let's start with the couple, Daniel and Chanel. You guys say hi.
Hi.
And then we got our good friend Eric here with us as well. Say hi, Eric.
Howdy.
And yeah, we play D&D together fairly often and other games. But let's just go ahead and start off with it. Let's start with Eric because is no doubtedly just more storied because he's what's your experience? How long have you been playing tabletop, Eric? How long has it been?
Um, wow. Uh, I think since 2009. But I remember being in high school and hearing you talk about how you were playing all these Star Wars games, and I was like, "What? What game is it? What console do you play it on? Is it a PC game? What is this thing that you're doing?" But it's like, nope, it's all tabletop.
Yeah, it's like how do you able to do these cool things? It's because it's tabletop, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what 13 years. Wow.
Yeah. Long time.
Um, we're getting old, man. It's all right,
Yeah.
man. Just our best days are behind us. It is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go to Daniel, who I think, aside from Eric and me, is the second longest. How long have you been playing tabletops, Daniel? When did it start?
I've been playing since let me do some math here. I want to say probably like 6 years ago. Making that whatever that year is, if you do math properly, which I do
20,
not.
2016.
Since 2016 around. Um, in a campaign that I started just because I'm the little brother. So when my older brother was doing it, I was like, I want to play, and
Yeah,
he had to just start showing me how to do shit, so I would leave him alone.
yeah, you
And then
gotta do everything your brother's doing.
yeah, and then yeah, I just kind of took off from there. And then after that, I started playing with you guys and all the different campaigns that you DM.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the group DM. I'm Scotty. I don't think I introduced myself, but there's me. Chanel, how long have you been playing?
Jeez. Um, since when has Steven been back from?
From
Uh,
Organization.
Like 2019?
not
No,
bad. Good 3, 4 years.
yeah.
Yeah. Daniel and his brother played and they mentioned it, and then Steven moved back and he wanted to play. So Daniel DM'd. I think that was my first,
Your
yeah, my first
first dip
campaign.
into D&D and tabletops.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and start. What was the first game that you got involved in, Eric? What was the first campaign? What system,
Um, wow.
if you can recall? Was it
Yeah, right.
was it D&D?
I feel like it must have been, but I mean, we were also playing Saga Edition a lot and D20 Modern.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was either 3.5, D20 Modern playing Bleach, or it was Saga Edition,
Yeah, Saga is
or
the for the
whichever Star Wars tabletop was out at the time.
I
Jeez,
think
there's
it
so
was
many.
Saga because I remember getting Saga and going to my cousin's house with it like ages ago,
Hmm.
so long ago. But
It's the one that doesn't need like special dice, right?
correct.
Yeah.
I forgot to go into me. I'm just getting all over the place after
Huh.
Eric. I've actually been playing D&D and tabletops for about 20 years, since I was 12. I remember my cousin got me into it, much like Daniel's older brother. Um,
You found your calling.
and I've been DMing for. I've DM'd before, but I've been like solidly being sold DM for about. Would you say, Eric? Like 6 years, 6 or 7, since we started playing classless Bleach. I think is when I started again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2015, 16. So 6 years I've been soul DMing. I used to be a forever play. But
Mhm.
Daniel, what did you start off with? Was yours D&D or did you?
Yeah, I actually started off with 5e, the regular 5e D&D. Campaign. I was a Dragonborn druid, and I didn't know it at the time, but that's a really fun class to play. Um,
Any full
and-
caster is a fun class to play.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of classes. They're all fun. But personally, druids I think are really dope. Um, and then for the longest time, I was like, people that say 3.5 is better than 5e are just stuck up and all that kind of stuff. And then I played 3.5, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, you know, let's just let's just not touch that subject anymore.
Well,
Since I
the
could be
proof
wrong.
the proof is in the pudding. I mean,
Yeah,
the content's there.
I do
Um,
agree that 5e is not bad, and it's definitely a gateway
it's a gateway
uh,
drug because it's so simple.
game. Yeah,
We'll
and
we'll we'll
comparison.
we'll push that back a little bit. We'll get into that. But Chanel, did you start with D&D?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah.
you said you started in Daniel's campaign with Steven, and that was 5e?
Sorry. Yeah, homebrew.
Very cool. Yeah, homebrew's the way to go for me.
Oh, absolutely. I want to
Um,
point out that we have a cat who's also in this podcast.
yeah, Sushi,
His name is Sushi. It's little Sammy's cat.
who's a
He's,
meower. He's a
Yeah. Sylvie here. I'm sorry.
yeah, he's
the
currently.
I myself started with 3.5. I think it might have been third edition, just flat at the time, because my cousin got it and he was looking through the book one day and I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Dungeons and Dragons." And I was like, "What is that?" And he like explained it to me and we made a character. I think I made a fighter. And that was how I started. I made a character, didn't play until my cousin got the Star Wars, the one that came out after the D6 edition, the 3.5 edition of Star Wars, I say.
Yeah.
I think that I would consider that my real true first RPG, Star Wars, the one I started a campaign and got into. So yeah, we all do have a lot of experience with D&D. What's your earliest memory, Eric, with D&D? The earliest thing you
Um,
can remember?
dang. I'm remembering. There's one campaign we were playing Bleach. We were playing with other Steven and your cousin, and then he had invited some friends of his over
I remember
to
that.
like try playing for the first time. And the guy was like explaining what he wanted to do, like every time his turn would come around without like actually doing what he wanted to do. And we were all just like, "Yeah, yes, you can do that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, you
Yeah,
can. Mm-hmm.
I think that was his buddy Colin. I
Yeah,
can't remember, but I do remember that too.
yeah." And he was like trying to explain what his character Zanpakuto did, and we were like, "Sure, man. Like, all right."
Yeah, cool beans, dude.
Yeah. But I mean, it was clear that this guy didn't spend any time reading the book, trying to figure out how to actually play on his own.
That
Just
that would make it
drop
stand
like
out.
right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
There's a balance that's important for that because I love not because I feel like personally my favorite thing about D&D is that the rules are more of like a guideline kind of thing, just in case you need some sort of like idea,
Yeah.
but do whatever you want. But sometimes you get so like if you don't have the experience, like Scotty has the experience, but if you don't have the experience and you just start going off on your own thing, you could lose control real fast of what's going on.
yeah, it does hit a spiral of just a whirlwind of shit happening and dice rolling.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go to Daniel. What's your earliest tabletop memory? The first thing you can remember doing?
Like
It could
in
be a
actual game
quest, it
or
could be
just
building your character, it could be
probably going back to my brother when he was doing it, he just kind of told me about his character because he made a tiefling, I believe it was a tiefling rogue, kind of basic, whatever, like a really cool character. And I was like, I want to make a character, and he's like, when he finally gave me, he's like, fine, here. So he pulled out the book, the player's handbook. He's like, here. I was like, no, but like, where do I make the character? He's like, right there. I'm like, where? The whole book. And I was like, no, Carlos, like, simplify for me. He's like, that book is pretty fucking simplified. And I was like,
It's
what?
it really is. It's a reference book. It's not meant to be read, which people mistake. They'll be like, "Oh, I couldn't read it." It's like you reference it.
Yeah. And then finally, after I think like a couple days, or maybe that same day, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. He finally was like, fine, and then he kind of sat down and kind of showed me what pages to like look at and kind of help me go step by step. And then I created my character. And
And it was a Dragonborn druid.
yeah, and it was a Dragon Ball Druid.
Nice.
And it was cool because um, the people that we play with, we all worked in the same place because I used to work with my brother in the same place. And the guy that wanted to start the game, the DM, he was there. So as we were all independently creating our characters, once we would go to work, we'd be like, dude, this is what I got so far. This is what I'm making. Like, what kind of character are you making? So we would have that communication onto what do you have so that we can work on what else is needed. But the poor DM, it was also his first time DMing, and we were all going to him for advice. And he was also trying to figure out at the same time. So it was kind of a shit show, but it was fun.
Well, that's basically the best sessions I've ever had have been shit shows that I've been trying to like wrangle. When you guys are just acting like a bunch of blind cats, and I'm trying to wrangle you into a crate. Um,
Wait, what about? Oh no, you mentioned yours.
yeah, we want to hit Chanel. Chanel, what's your earliest tabletop memory?
I don't quite even remember the manic state I was in making my own character. I do remember the first session we ever played. Well, I ever played, and all of us almost dying in it. Yeah, just almost a TPK, and that was my first ever session.
When Chanel was first creating her character, she kept saying she's like, all I want is a
It's just that
stabity sneakity sneakity character.
Ain't nothing wrong with a rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but it
think,
was funny 'cause we knew what you wanted like right away.
and that's always the best when you have, even if they don't know the game, if they have a kind of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, people have seen fantasy. You understand what like a ninja is, or like a fighter is. You can point at them in fiction. Um, I think my earliest memory was, like I said, when my cousin got the third edition book, and he tried to run just a small little session, and I went full murder hobo with a great axe that I'd bought in character creation. And then I wanted to fight the most powerful thing in the book, so he had me fight a gold dragon, and I died in one round because I was a level 1 fighter.
Wow.
So that's my earliest, most vivid memory of tabletop, and I was just like, "This game is great." Because I'd never seen that freedom before. I was like, "Dude, I can do anything." Coming from playing like Super Mario 64 and like Grand Theft Auto, like that, but just more open, just blew my mind.
Yeah, because even in GTA, like you're supposed to have all the freedoms, but you still can't just
I can't go
break
up
a
and get a piece of
window.
pizza if I want to.
Yeah, you can't just break a window and go in the building and be like, okay, what's in this building? It's like, nope, only buildings that are meant to go inside, you can go inside.
Yeah.
Over here, it's like, I want to break that wall. It's like, okay, I guess we're breaking a wall.
Yeah, the DM better have an idea of what's back there. um,
Is this the direction of the game that the end directed? Yes. Okay, I'll go the other way.
no shit. Um, that's always the fucking case. That's why the meme. It's like design a session and then throw away 90% of it.
Sorry.
So, Eric, what would you say your favorite character you've ever made has been from any of the systems you played?
Oh wow.
When you look back fondly and go, you know what, that character was fucking cool.
um. Hmm.
Hmm.
I think I had a was it Classic Marvel? Yeah, it must have been Classic Marvel Forever. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Um. but I had a character, an Asgardian character, who
Ooh.
worked for Shield, and he was like the coordinator for a group of superheroes. And they got in over their heads one time, so he had to come down from the helicarrier, and the power that that character had was warding, which lets you place like it's like symbol of pain or symbol of weakness from 3.5. But you can put like almost any effect you want in the ward. So my character put I think it was
Wasn't
I
that
think it was just
increased?
straight gravity or something.
Yeah, it was just increased gravity.
Yeah.
But like,
But I put like 400 of these wards on the Rhino, like from Spider-Man's uh, Rogues Gallery, and like flattened him into a pancake. And then my character had to go into hiding because he was then like labeled a villain, a criminal.
Oh no!
That was silly. I like that though.
yeah, Ward was a cool character.
Yeah.
We were talking. Eric was talking about the classic Marvel game came out in 1984. People just call it the face rip system.
Yeah.
It's
Face rip.
It's tons of fun. It's super simple too. The rules are free. You can get it at classicmarvelforever.com. Plugging them.
Very simple as well.
Incredibly
Absolutely
simple.
worth trying.
100%. I'd say it's probably one of my favorite systems.
Same.
They are not sponsoring this video.
Yeah, this is not sponsored by Classic Marvel in any way. What's your favorite character, Daniel, that you've ever made or played?
It's
You only get one.
Yep.
it's hard because okay, if I had to choose,
You do. You have to choose.
I want to say my twins right now. So well, they just died, but
Several times.
I have two twins, and they are the
Davadi, yeah.
I can never pronounce it right. But they're one character, but they're twins. They share a lifespan, so their health is actually kind of pretty low because they have to split it. But they are also a bard, and they are personally by far the most fun character to play because even though it's one character, you have so much more range of potential actions and everything. They die all the time, which because their life is split in half, and I haven't put any work into protecting them. But that also adds to the fun of them because it's like, okay, how are we gonna revive them? How are we gonna bring back? Are they gonna come back? Who knows? Um, However, it's been kind of a transition because when I first created them, I have a vision of what I wanted, and it's always happened that you have a vision of, at least for me, because I don't have that much experience with characters, so I can't meta game it into like thinking ahead, like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do with my character. I have an idea, and then turns out that's not kind of how it plays out in game.
Yeah, it's like
So
what's that quote, Eric? Do you know it off the top of your head? Like no plan survives first contact with the enemy. It's
That
something.
sounds familiar, but I don't know the specific wording.
I think that it's something along those lines. But yeah, that
Yeah.
seems kind of fitting.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
I had an idea of it, and then it just kind of switched. So now I'm kind of learning how to better take advantage. Which now I'm like, oh, I wish I would have given them different spells up until this level, but now I just gotta work with what I have. My first character, I loved him, but he was supposed to be really wise. But I didn't know that wisdom didn't really play out based on stats as much
No,
in D and D.
you
So
need to be wise.
yeah, my DM was like, okay, what's the wisdom? And I was like, I don't know what the wisdom is. My character is wise. I'm not wise. You know
Yeah.
what's wise to say. And he was like, I don't know.
It's like playing a high int character, a high intelligence. It's like, man, I love playing a high intelligence character, but fuck, am I stupid?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um, so Buck and Doe are Daniel's bards, the twinsies. So those are your favorite. I could have sworn you would have said Deja Vu from Marvel.
Ew, wow.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
It's too late to change your answer now.
It's not too
Favorite
late.
choice.
It's not too late. It's not too late. I completely forgot that the
No.
Marvel counted as well.
It's not your favorite if you forgot about
Oh
them.
my god! I in my head I have Marvel as I don't consider Marvel a tabletop game because all of it has been played online
Yeah.
from day one. So for some reason, my mind just thinks of it as a different type of game.
And
Shit, that
because
is
it's
what those
theater of the
games.
mind, we only use Discord for Marvel, like because it's abstract and it's distance, it's areas. So as long as I think I'm fairly decent at describing
Yeah,
Mhm.
really good.
distance and like who's around, but like because that's how I grew up playing was theater of the mind. Me and my cousin saw it as like you're playing with minis in a grid. You may as well just play chess or a tabletop like war game. Like this is imagination. This is role play. You don't need
Girl.
things for it. What are these things? I just need dice to roll. So
That,
yeah,
very,
you whiffed on deja vu there, but we'll get a chance to talk about them. Chanel,
sorry,
what is your
Deja
favorite
was my
character?
favorite.
Wait, go ahead.
I was saying Deja was my favorite.
Nope. Too
Too
late.
late.
Uh,
Chanel, who's your favorite character you've played?
Um, Sin always has a special place in my heart 'cause she's my first one. Celine's super cool.
she's deadly.
What
And
about
he,
your wizard bard from Steven's failed campaign?
oh my god, the one that always kept dying, that was our fucking dough.
Yeah, essentially.
He always kept dying. Um,
I
I,
figured it would have been Zen.
yeah, it is. Just because I grinded that character so much.
Yeah, she's like level 16 or something, 17.
Yeah, I begged for cool shit. I'm just, I don't know.
And she seems like a lot of fun to play. Rogues, when they get all those dice to roll, just seem like
Yeah, so much fun. And it's my first character, so
it's got a soft spot,
yeah, for sure.
definitely. For me, my favorite character, I would have to say, is my Bleach character. When I
Mm.
played in my friends, we have two friends, or I have two friends named Steven, PH and V. This is Steven with a V. We were playing in his Bleach campaign, and like you did, I grinded my guy to level like 18. I had Bonkai. I became captain of 5th Division. I took Rukia as my lieutenant because they
Ooh,
weren't like promoting her in 13th Division. This is getting really anime. If you don't watch Bleach, you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
what are we talking about?
But my Bonkai was cool. It did like, or my Shikai, my first release of my sword, did like blood type damage. So I could give up constitution points to do 3d6 damage. And then, so I could just be like, I'm giving up 18 of my 19 con for fucking 65d6 or whatever it is, and be like, yeah. And then my Bonkai was distortion type, and I just opened my sword and it put people into a coma, and I would just go over and drain the blood out of them and kill them. And he was just so laid back. He was cool. He was so me. It was just like I loved playing that character. It was
I
just so
just
good.
I just picture somebody listening to this section of the podcast, like what you just said, but they have no idea what tabletop RPG games are, and they have no idea what Bleach is.
Well,
And
then
they're
you
just
well
like,
then you stumbled into the wrong video, my friend.
Yeah, right.
you're a wrong turn somewhere.
That's how I feel like people are gonna look at my search history one day.
It's like, what is going on?
Yeah,
I don't know, sir, but we can't find the exit.
I'm gonna put reference or 3.5 at the end of everything I search now.
Oh yeah, I'm probably on several lists for stuff I'd had to search for games like price of cocaine, like
Yep.
lots of
Especially for Marvel, like, oh, calibers of guns, just
yep.
most,
forms of torture.
most
Yeah.
poisonous substance in the world, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you as the DM and even a player, you search some weird shit. Aerodynamics of a cow.
Guys, that meme is so funny.
What is let's go into another fun one. What's your Eric, if you had to pick one, what's your favorite class? Let's just we'll flat out say Dungeons and Dragons. It could be any edition you want.
Yeah.
First, AD&D, second, third, 3.5, 4, or fifth. Just what is your favorite class?
Favorite class. I really like Hexblade. 3.5 Hexblade is. I mean, with the
Addendum.
the addendum, yeah. Like it's so much fun being able to put the curse on people and just being able to weaken them over and over and over is it's a blast. I like it a lot.
And you get that 1/1 attack bonus too, I believe.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, Hexblade was one of my cousin David's favorite classes. Anytime he played a marshal, he was always like the dark character, so he always went with Hexblade, and he always had a blast with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric's playing a Hexblade. Well, are you still a Hexblade currently as Bahaka?
Yes. Yeah.
You've never dumped that out of your Gestalt.
Well, I mean, I've taken levels in other classes in that side of the Gestalt, but I am back at Hexblade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went. I forget however many levels,
I've
but
seen.
Hexblade, and then Dread Witch, and then Nightmare Spinner, and then Mindbender, and then now I'm just back at Hexblade
You're
because
Church
Mindbender
Inquisitor
is.
too.
Sorry, what?
You were a Church Inquisitor too, didn't you take levels in that?
Yeah, that's on the other half of the Gestalt character, which was even like more convoluted. It started as Ranger 1, and then Cloistered Cleric, and then
Oh my gosh.
Church Inquisitor. Like you can be level 5 and start taking the Prestige class. I think.
Yeah, it's a fairly low one.
Yeah, so I went right into it, um, and leveled a few things in Church Inquisitor, and then went for Avenging Executioner 2 levels. Because the second level class ability lets you make intimidate checks as a move action instead of a standard action.
Which is
Which,
busted.
yeah, like as a character that's already built around like fearing somebody, being able to use a spell on someone to make them the first level just shaken, and then being able to use an intimidate check to demoralize them, to then shaken them again, which would put them at frightened. It's just like, what?
Or stack it higher and panic them. Like
Right? Yeah.
Eric panicked a Death Knight in one of our games. I had to look it up. I'm like, it's not classified as any of the mental afflictions, so it's couldn't
Yeah.
fucking know.
It's a lot of fun though.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. You seem like you're having a blast, which is good
Yeah.
because that's all I want from my players. Daniel, if you had to pick a favorite class, what would it be?
Without a doubt, Bard. Dude, Bards are fucking amazing. And playing them, you have so much range. Because the thing about Bards, a lot of classes is just like, okay, these are the spells you have, go with it. Bards are a personality class. Like, oh yeah, any character you have, you could splurge on personality. But bards, their stats and their spells are focused on increasing their personality skills. As for hey, Papa, you woke up? That's a cat. I was telling, I've told Scotty before that there was this post that I saw one time on social media, and it says like when you realize that the bar can do more than just get laid with anybody they want, and they showed this guy and he's like fucking like wealthy. He's like the whole kingdom is in front of him, like hustle this wealth. It's like yeah, when you have persuasion, all these things, you can do more than just convince people to sleep with you and get free drinks. You can like negotiate your shit to the like everything to the top. Like there's so much that you can do. Or you could just be nice and get around, or be horrible to people and break their hearts in seconds. There's a huge range of skills that you could use in and out of battle that it's just too fun for me to ignore. And I've only played Bard once, which is what my Buck and Doe are, my twins.
Yeah,
Right
and
away, I'm like, these are the best class that I've ever played.
well, that and you get a lot of utility, like that lore. Like you get that lore check that just lets you basically make a knowledge check on
Mhm.
obscure things. It comes in
Yeah.
so much handy as a device. Like I'm so glad that you and Eric both have abilities like legend lore. So like if I need
Yeah.
to give you guys lore and direction, like you guys can be like, "Oh yeah."
And I feel like, yeah, I feel like that, like just like you're saying, it makes it easier on the DM too. Because if we didn't have that, you would have to create an NPC or something in the world for everything that puts a description for things, and it would have to be roleplay. Like, oh, this guy comes in and he's like, well, guess what? This is what if we have just body knowledge, you could just tell us out of game. Oh, your character will know that this fucking guy is a dick and killed this guy when he was younger and this shit. I'm like, okay, guys, I just relay that information. Moving on. or we can make it if it's important for the game. We can make it into a more yeah, invasive,
Yeah,
Immersive, yeah.
immersive. Yeah.
immersive experience at that point.
Well, I mean, it gives the player the ability to like advocate for their own characters' wants and desires, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it gives them more control over their characters.
Yeah. So instead of the DM just like info dumping, the player himself can be like, "Well, my character is new to this world, and so am I. So why don't I learn along with them?" Yeah, it's a
Or
great opportunity,
or the opposite end, you can go, my character's from this country. What would my character and me by proxy know about it?
right? Yeah, yeah. Like it's so much more immersive than the DM just being like, "This town is filled with people who hate elves or something,"
Yeah,
and then just like info dumps all the stuff that they feel your character should know, and it's like,
yeah. It's like maybe I don't want maybe I want my character to be a
right?
dull-eyed person just new into the world.
Yeah, yeah. Some
Absolutely.
green-eared.
Green-eared nub.
Yeah.
Chanel, if you had to pick a favorite class, what is it?
Oh, that's tough. Honestly, right now, I would say wizard.
Solid choice. Very solid choice.
I used to say rogue, but definitely now that I've played Mabel more, wizard for sure.
Well,
It's
because you.
harder. It's harder. It's more stressful
Oh, for
for me to
sure.
play. I love it.
why?
Why do I love it, or why is it
Why?
stressful?
I guess both.
It's stressful because there's a lot more to manage than just like hitting and like the small spells that you might get as a rogue.
True.
But I just love the crazy amount of shenanigans you can get into with just spells, even low level spells.
Yeah, you can use low-level spells in a lot of interesting ways, which
Hmm.
is what I try. I try to build encounters that'll eat your spells up, but I give you guys rest. I'm pretty generous about it
Yeah.
because I tend to throw a lot at you guys. Um, yeah, Wizard's a good solid choice. That was my cousin's favorite. Was Wizard. He read Dragonlance and just Raceland was his guy, and Raceland is not my guy because I'm reading the books. If you haven't read Dragonlance, read them. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fun.
but if I had to pick a favorite class, I'm boring. I might say like paladin or fighter.
How's
Probably,
that
pro-
boring?
probably,
Hideous?
probably a paladin. Getting the lay on hands, getting the bonuses to your saves,
Yeah, dude.
getting up to fourth level spells, I believe, which are the good ones. They're buffs. I mean, you're never gonna be casting, Wail of the Banshee on anybody, but you get Divine Smite. You become immune to diseases at a certain point. You get a steed, and I always just like the image of a knight with a sword,
Mhm.
like in Dark Souls, I always default to a big sword and and heavy armor because I just think that's like my ideal like hero, just a shining armor guy. So yeah, I'm boring. Fighter, paladin, probably paladin.
I need a hero.
I
I
like
need a
I
hero.
like Paladin when you can use some of the other class options that aren't just lawful good.
Yeah. Well, going paladin is cool if you're gonna go blackguard or blackguard if you want to be
Yeah,
precise about it. Blackguard's a
It's
cool
really hard to
class.
play. It's really hard to play good characters, but it's also real surprisingly fun
it's
because
not hard to play good characters. What are you talking about?
It says the party with only one good character in it. Well, two
Yeah, right.
technically. um, so yeah, those are our favorite classes. I like how we're all like spread across everything. Like none
Yeah.
of us doubled up on anything. Um, this one might be a little tough going into the next subject, but what's everybody's favorite system? Eric, starting with you. If you had to play one for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Jeez.
Wow. Probably 3.5.
Just because of its
Just because
like
I'm.
utility?
Well, yeah, it's utility. The amount of like actual like written material for 3.5. Because I know that you can always rely on a homebrew to fill in whatever like gameplay gaps you might experience, but 3.5 like You almost just don't need to at all.
No, it's all like laid out for you.
Yeah, there's just so much content for 3.5. And like Spelljammer, the original, like not or sorry, I shouldn't say original, but Spelljammer you could do in 3.5, which like you can go to different realities in Spelljammer, which is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you deal with a lot of like illithids and beholders, and there's like a beholder in a bar. He's a bartender. He's like a chaotic neutral beholder, and he's
Yeah.
out in space somewhere. It's like, dude.
Yeah, there's I remember reading about that. He I guess it knows what did it say? It said it had the same level of intelligence as the gods, and it like had no malice
Yeah, it
despite
was
being a beholder.
yeah, it didn't have the hate and prejudice against everything that every beholder has.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 is a nice solid answer. Daniel, favorite system? If you could only
Uh,
play one. Somebody put a fucking gun to your head and said you can only play one game forever.
I would, excuse me. I would say, um, the Marvel one.
Classic Marvel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Marvel. It's so simple that but it has a lot of options. So it's so simple. It has a lot of broad options. Um, and there's some limitations, but again, when you're at the end, you could just throw those shit out the window and be like, yeah, you could just do these things, and that's it. That's all you need. There's so first of all, they have a description for every power that you could think of. Pretty much, I haven't been able yet to think of a power that they don't have.
Yeah, that
Um,
isn't represented in comic in some way.
yeah, so they have everybody you could think of, and it could be pretty much anything you could think of. It's unlimited options, and when you think about it, classic Marvel, you could still use classic Marvel in a D&D scenario. Because if you think about Justice League and stuff, sometimes they go back in time and there's like dragons. They go to like medieval times, but there's dragons and shit for some reason because they're going to some sort of book or something. There's no limit, so you can still use that same settings for any
Yeah,
system. So
you could use it as a system agnostic kind of thing. It's
yeah,
basically classic Marvel uses a chart and you roll a percentile and compare to the chart, and that's the long and short of it. Your stats go from feeble to shift Z,
Yeah.
and there's each one has a row on the chart, and they get better and better as you go up. So it's like, I want to jump, okay, roll agility, bam, easy. Roll the percentile. You don't got to worry about which dice am I grabbing. And it, like Daniel said, it's so broad because even if there isn't a power that is exactly what you want, you can very easily create it. You just, it has this effect, it's got this range, and boom, you're done.
Yeah. That's what I've done for a lot of my characters' abilities.
Yeah.
Just make a mishmash of all these other ones. Be like, oh, I like that my character can manipulate volume with sound manipulation. Oh, but then that's also like part of his like vibration abilities. So he has vibration control as well, and it's all like interwoven together.
Yeah, I feel like you get a more cohesive character. The rules as written is you're supposed to randomly generate them, like powers, but you get such weird dudes, like a guy that can stick to walls and like travel through like
Huh.
airwaves.
Yeah, it's like yeah, you get a metamorpho character who can be like, I can turn into random elements.
Yeah, I can gather sediment at a slow speed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, Marvel's a nice solid choice. We play that very often. Um, Chanel, if you had to play one.
I will double down on classic Marvel.
hell yeah.
I love it. It's I don't know, like there's just so many options and you don't need again, you don't need a grid to play. You don't really need anything other than a dice and that one chart.
Yeah, the universal table.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about classic Marvel is that, and again, you do a good thing as a DM to try to incorporate it, but it's not part of the setting. Is that you only use percentile dice, and sometimes when you buy dice sets, you wanna
Use all
use
of them.
all. So sometimes that's kind of the only thing that is I would think missing, but there's really no need for the other ones.
No, there's absolutely no need. I mean, I use them for certain like flashbangs will like stun somebody for like a D3 rounds. Like
Yeah.
I will roll a D6 or a D4, but you guys normally won't.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I might have you roll like a D20 or something, and once in a while, and you guys go, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, like scares me every time.
Like, why are we doing this?
Geez, one system. If I had to pick one system for the rest of my fucking life,
Mm-hmm.
it would probably be 3.5.
Yeah.
Just because I'm doubling down on 3.5, just for all the reasons Eric said. What was that?
I said we got teams now.
Yeah, we got Team
Yeah.
3.5 versus Team Marvel.
I'm down for Marvel though. I
Yeah.
think if I had to choose between the two, uh, I might go with Marvel simply because it's even more open-ended than 3.5 is.
Yeah. I just 3.5 is so nostalgic for me. It's so comfortable. Like
Yeah.
when I open up Mythweavers and I open that 3.5 sheet, I'm just like I'm home. Like I want to touch the screen and be like, yes. But yeah, for all the same reasons Eric said, it's just there's so much content for it that if you can think of it, there's probably a rule for it somewhere if you really want to go digging for it. But if you don't, simple +2 -2. Easiest rule ever. In this super obscure scenario, what was my bonus be? +2, buddy. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Same with Marvel. It's favorable, you get a column shift. It's not favorable, -1.
I used to think of a 5th edition with advantage and disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because like even like it doesn't matter how many levels of advantage you have. It's just second roll. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Just 1 second roll. And if you have any level of disadvantage, it cancels everything out. And it's like, well, yeah, like your character may be like an Olympic javelin thrower, but if he trips on a rock while he's trying to throw, it's
Yeah, he's
gonna
gonna
like
break his
it's gonna
ankle.
bungle it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think the main difference between the two, besides everything we already said, is that because Marvel, for anybody who's never played the system, you have this thing called karma. So pretty much anytime you want to roll max potential, you just do it. You just cost you some karma at that point. So Marvel is definitely more about the role playing and how you decide to solve certain issues, whereas 3.5 or D&D itself is more about like, okay, I have to design this character and design these things properly because whatever comes up, I have what I have and that's it. And we gotta figure it out. So one is more about role playing, even in battle, because you have to describe how you're fighting, what you're doing and stuff. Whereas the other one's more about, okay, it's a little bit more immersive in that sense, depending on what your priorities are. I think.
I think I agree with you, Daniel, that 3.5 is a little bit, I guess, a little bit more involved when it comes to like rules and stuff.
Yeah.
It seems a lot more hard-lined. Like, well, if your team doesn't have a rogue, you can't sense traps. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, that's it.
Well,
Exactly.
any trap above DC 20, but yeah, those are the ones you're gonna want to find.
Right? Yeah.
It's
But
like you
like
guys are like
in
football.
Marvel, you can be like, well, I think my guy would like really spend his time looking. And it's like, okay,
You just spend like a day.
Yeah.
One of them's more like role play, and the other one's like more like you roll your dice, and that's how you play. Like your dice determine
hmm
Yeah, it's the
most of
role
it.
play versus role play.
Yeah.
Deal. Ha! Wordplay. Wee. Um. What about? Let's go into something more abstract. And what is how do you feel about like expectation? What are your expectations for like story and character in a game, Eric? Like, what's your like platonic ideal? Like when you
I
go into a
don't.
game, what do like? Do you expect like
Yeah,
the rules is written? Do you expect like a hardline DM?
Oh no. I mean, I'm always up for wiggle room in the rules, like trying to like bend and flex things to your advantage. Like I love it. It's fun to like try and like find some weird angle that gets you some sort of advantage on doing whatever it is you're doing. So playing with a DM who's open to like allowing for the rule of cool more often than just
Yeah.
rules as written. I think that's a huge that's very important to me. But in terms of like gameplay and like story, I think I play D&D and fantasy games so that I can like not relate to reality.
No, 100%. Yeah,
um,
you're
Yeah.
so if it allows me to really feel like myself in some other world, like if I can like really connect with my character and feel like the actions that I'm having that person do are accurate and they feel like right, is that's something that I look for.
that's a good expectation to have. Having like your character and having opportunities to roleplay them as you see them. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's it's like dotting your I's and crossing your T's. It just feels good. It's like, yes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um, do you have any
more fulfilling
expectations
experience.
for like story? Like, in I'm gonna say more in the sense of things like you like a lot of people, kiss and fade away to black. Like those kind of deals are like how gory you get in your details. Do you have expectations in any of those ways?
I mean, generally, like I I rely on my own imagination to like picture a lot of these things, and it often helps to have the DM describe it and put their own words on it. It gives me, better perspective to frame my own imagination with. But um, yeah, I think fading to black is fine. Like especially if it's something that like if any of the players are uncomfortable just being around, absolutely. Like it's totally unnecessary to put a character like a player through something that they don't want to experience. But then, even from a story play or gameplay uh, side, what is your character going to do in that time? Like if you're not like one of those characters participating in the thing that's making it fade to black, like what do you expect to be able to do? It's like the focus isn't on your character, so
Yeah.
why even present that option for everybody at the table who may not be a part of that little like tiny little like story element? Like it's fun to talk about and make it a moment that everybody can witness, but like having to role play it and exclude somebody from the experience because it's like it's only these two characters and it's like, well, like they're like going on a date tonight and nobody else is going with them. It's like, well, all
Yeah,
right, like
I think
it's just splitting the party for silly reasons.
yeah, it's almost like if you're gonna tend to do that as like a DM, you need to be really good about your time management and literally splitting your time evenly between like cutting back and forth, which
Yeah.
I do a
Yep.
lot in Marvel with Daniel
Yeah.
and Chanel because they have complete freedom. Daniel might not want to train in the headquarters that day, and Celine might want to go shopping, and it's like I want to get into the minutia of it, but I try to split my time evenly.
Yeah.
But
It's
but I agree
it's
with you about
important.
fading to black when people aren't comfortable because it's not something you want to put somebody in that situation.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to say that players shouldn't do things separate from each other, but it just seems weird to exclude characters from major story elements.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. Um, Daniel, what are your expectations going into a game?
It's hard.
That's a
I
tough
have a
question,
lot
Ben.
of
It's really hard because yeah, I try not to, but I get expect. That's the hard part about DMing, honestly. Um, is that I completely agree in the part where you want a DM that's lenient and is willing to give on ideas and such. But at the same time, when you're creating a character, you're not thinking, well, I think my DM would let me get away with this, or I think my DM will let me go with that. No, you're just going based on what the stats say on the what depending on what you're using, the character handbook or whatever you're using. So you create these expectations for what the character is based on that, but then when you go to play, of course the DM has to balance things out and has to adjust. So he'll let you get away with things, but he also like have to adjust to not just let you be a complete asshole that just does things in his game.
Complete murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really hard because I personally erroneously tend to set up expectations that my character will work exactly how I expect it to based on pure stats. And then when I play, when that doesn't happen, it doesn't work. But I much rather that not work at the same time because I have a DM that is willing to balance things out and make things work. Because otherwise, the game would just be boring and we have no obstacles, no conflicts, and it would be unfair to the other characters. And I think that's very hard as a DM as well. One time there's this one campaign that I DM'd, and I DM'd 5e at that point because I had never played 3.5 before. And I don't know if I was wrong about it, but at the time, my understanding was that flanking in 5e is something that you get a specific character, like a specific class, I believe, or a specific skill, something like that. Whereas 3.5 is just something that happens. If there's somebody in the opposite side of the guy, you just have flanking. Um, but as far as my understanding went in 5e, you didn't have flanking. I could be wrong, but that's what I understood. So one friend I was playing, he had to play 3.5, so he was like, I'm gonna flank. And I was like, you don't have that. He got sad because he's used to that. So I was like, fuck it, I'll give it to you. And then another one of my characters leveled up, and a few sessions later, I was like, oh look, I get flanking. But that's kind of pointless because you already just gave it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really hard as a DM to balance it, and it's really hard to balance everybody's expectations accurately. My personal expectations are horrible because I going into the game I have expectations for my character, but I don't have many expectations for the world. Um,
Which can be a good thing because then everything is a surprise.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
The,
that's
the
Yeah.
just
world.
cool.
I think that's probably one of my favorite things in as a player is to see what kind of world the DM has created for you. And I mean, I love just looking at random rocks. So he was like, "Oh, there's rocks." I'm like, "What shape are they?" Like,
What's the rock called?
Yeah, what's the rock's name?
but
Uh,
yeah,
no, I agree. It is rough as a DM to balance everybody's expectations because you do have like 4 to 6 people at the table. Ideally, you'll have 4 to 6 people. But yeah, I'll get to mine in a second. Chanel, what do you expect story-wise, game-wise,
Um,
mechanics-wise?
I always just because I am really hard on certain things, I always set my expectations really low for everything, just in case. So I don't know. I think expectations as far as myself, a lot of the expectations I have when I go into playing, especially like a new campaign or for myself, just like I love teamwork and I love, you know, role play between characters and I love again the rule of pool and just, you know,
Just having a good
I
time.
yeah, I expect to have fun. That's my biggest expectation anytime we start playing. It's just I expect things to be fun. Um and it's a for me it's like again a distraction from real life, so I don't expect I guess my biggest expectation is not to have real life shit mixed in with my role play. Like
Yeah.
fantasy world. I don't expect any of that shit in
Yeah, I get
there.
enough of it in the real world. I don't need
Yeah,
to see
I'm
this shit in
Yeah.
my fantasy.
I need a few hours of just fantasy and just fun. And that's my biggest expectation for play.
That's a good one. Fun is fun and just nothing depressingly real world like.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say that's
Yeah.
definitely an expectation of mine, but I think my biggest expectation is as a DM, this is just me. I expect the players to want to be in the adventuring party. They gotta want to be there. Like, you can do whatever you want. You just gotta have one reason to want to be with these people. Like, it's not hard. Because other than that, you get the people who just go, well, my character wouldn't do this. I'm gonna go to the pub. And it's like Eric said, then you're dividing the people unnecessarily. It's like, dude, you're an adventurer. You have above average stats. You wouldn't just sit at a pub. You would.
Yeah. Go adventure.
You have 18
Yeah.
strength, dude. You are superhuman. You're 4 ability modifier points higher than, or 4 modifier points stronger than the average human, dude.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my biggest expectation is players that want to play.
That when you mentioned that, it made me think of Nevander, my first character from a Gods campaign we played. Wow, that wasn't recent.
No, that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh gosh. But
Time keeps on slipping.
yeah, god damn. We were playing Gods. It was 3.5 here. We were using the deities and demigods book as well. Like, but my character was lawful neutral, and then one of the other players' characters was neutral evil and was killing like literally every character we met. Like we got on a ferry boat, and then after the boat like set its course and it was like maintained by magic or something, this guy went to go kill the boat captain, and like like it kept happening. So I was like, my character goes to like stop you, and she like argues, and I, like in my mind, like as a player, I was just like, what is going on? Like I can't like how do I go forward with a character who's like you're mindlessly killing people? Stop! Like that's not an okay thing to do.
Yeah, that's
But
a very
then
chaotic evil thing to be doing.
right, yeah, and like so it got to a point where I like gave up on the character because I could not figure out a way to like separate what I wanted this character's like ideals to be with how this other player's character's actions were happening, or were like how like what they were doing in the world that we were playing in.
Mhm.
Yeah, you couldn't
But
reconcile the two.
yeah, it was difficult as a player to experience that. But then now I can recognize that like hardlining my own character's values was probably the wrong thing to do. But it seemed appropriate as one of those like instances of, well, it seemed like my character wanted to do that.
Yeah, the cop out excuse.
Right, yeah, it's like, well, like my character would try to like argue with you about like
Oh, for sure, she
fucking
would.
like murdering this person, but in like real world that just like stalls the game, like like nothing progresses through that
Yeah,
because
but
it's just one character like, well, my character would kill this person, and it's like, well, my character doesn't want you to kill this person. It's like, all right, it's stalemate, nothing happens.
yeah, and
If you're
that's
playing without like player combat, like if you're playing with interplayer combat, then whatever goes. But that's
yeah. Roll your dice out in the open. You guys are fucking doing this.
yeah.
But then you made Agar, who was way cooler. What was that? Oh no, did we lose Eric?
No.
I think we lost Eric.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello again, Eric. Cool.
Heck.
Just some technical difficulties. It'll be out in edit. You won't even have to see it. It'll be as if nothing happened.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna edit it out. We didn't talk about much. The last thing I said was after Navander, you made Agar, who was way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
The patron god of the dwarfs now in my campaign.
Hmm. Dude, I had so much fun like building like the whole like religious like system for Agar.
That's the whole.
Was a blast.
You are. If I had to like write my world into a source book, I would just be like the chapter on dwarfs is yours because you basically created them and how they function. So dwarves are very much yours, which I like because it's something of yours in my world.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot for dwarves. I do like the dwarves as a race.
I think we played Pathfinder for a little bit, and I think my backup character was going to be a dwarf who just hates everybody that was taller than him. Just like anybody taller than 4 feet tall is too fucking tall.
Yeah.
And he's like afraid to fall off the earth because he's just like a newborn, not like a newborn, but like a newbie dwarf to the surface. He's not
Yeah.
used to seeing a lot of people.
That would be so cool.
Dude,
I like that idea.
imagine if an elf got some sort of like enchantment and he became a dwarf and he had to live with the dwarves. And he was just like learning dwarves' lives as a previously elf.
That'd be
I've
really hard.
tried to make a half dwarf race that was half dwarf, half elvish. I just like tried to like mock it up to see because well, I mean, there's half elves, like regular half elves, but they're elf and human.
Yeah.
But all the races can technically interbreed with each other. So like, yeah.
Yeah, why aren't there? It's like half elf. It's like why isn't it like half drow, half elf or anything, you
Right.
know, or like
Yeah.
half gnome, half dwarf.
Yeah.
You
Or
get
you
it
could
you get
pick
it
like
appealing.
hybrid and then like pick your heritages or something.
Yeah, and you get like something from like your human father and your like elven mother or something. I think
And
I think that'd be really neat, just like mixing genealogies and getting bonuses based on what you are.
Yeah.
that's true.
Be like
A little
I'm
bit of
playing
a
an orc dwarf.
modular character building.
Yeah, dude, totally.
And depending on what races they are, if they're races that tend to hate each other, imagine the role playing of having to grow up that no matter which kingdom or you know world that they grew up in, they're probably being hated by the people around them because they're the son of people that
Well,
mix to the blood and all that.
that's a lot of like your like standard fantasy like Faerun like orcs are inherently evil. So half orcs don't come from very nice places. So being a
Right.
half
Yeah.
orc is very frowned upon because you're a half beast, half man. Like so it does make for interesting role playing. But
I remember.
something like my world where orcs are not inherently evil, they're just barbaric clans. They're the
Yeah.
barbarians. Like they live simple lives. It's a little tougher than most, but it makes tough people. You were gonna say, Eric?
I had a world where the orcs were they were like recent additions to the world. They had come from what was like essentially I don't want to say like the great beyond or whatever, but it was beyond the edges of the map, which had like literal meaning for the characters in the world. But they had their regular like racial stats with their advantages and disadvantages and whatnot. But then they were like the flavor I put in the world was that they were really good at creating arcane focuses, and their leader made this like huge like 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube arcane focus and was like upsetting the magical world with these like pristine gemstones that like hadn't been they hadn't been discovered before. So if anybody saw an orc, they're just like, oh well, what are you gonna do, like cast a spell on me or something, because everybody thought that they were some sort of like magical creature coming in. And that's why they would have their negatives to charisma, because they like everybody else had this like this.
Preconceived notion about them.
Right, yeah. And it wasn't because that they were like literally ugly or they were like literally like use barbarian speech or something where they like couldn't string 3 words together without like an unga in there or something. And it's just like, yeah.
Dude,
The
you'll come
idea
up with
that a
cool
character
lore.
has to Yeah, well, yeah, because so much lore is just terrible garbage.
I just I went the route, and in my world, they were like the race, like they were the like pristine, perfect. They were gray elves, and they were just like beautiful, perfect, strong beings in every way. And then they decided, hey, we're better than all these other fucking people. Let's take them over and subjugate them. And it started a big war, and then God cursed them. Very similar to Lord of the Rings, the orcs being cursed. But I don't know, I just like the idea of them going from one extreme to the other and why they went from such a big civilization to like barbarian tribes.
Yeah,
It's like the one god before the new gods cursed them.
yeah. I
Um,
like just giving a real reason for things and not just like they hate each other.
yeah, it's like
And
dwarves
like,
hate orcs. Why? Because they do.
yeah, it's like, well,
Because they're green.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of ignorant ways you can spin that.
right, yeah,
I like that you bring that up, Eric, because so Scotty has been helping me create my world for a campaign that I DM sometimes, like every once in a blue moon.
mhm,
And orcs in my world, they are, and I'm very passionate about it because I like the idea, but it's not that crazy or cool. I just like it because it's my first creation. Um, but orcs do tend to not be liked by people, but there's like an explanation behind it. Long story short, they've always been kind of like frowned upon, so they learn to work on their own. So they became a community that works really hard, really fast. So they don't wait for like manners or stuff for people, but they're really kind. They just don't have time to deal with you. You're in or out when you're working. So they develop this whole city for themselves and everything. It's pretty much this whole cool thing, but it makes sense. It's like, oh, a lot of people will hate them just because they're what they're taught, but in reality, there's some more behind it. And I think that's really cool that you bring that up because you reminded me of that.
Well, yeah,
thank you,
I like
yeah,
that we all have our own spins on the orcs, and it's like,
yeah.
Scotty, I have a question for you, if that's okay.
yeah, shoot for it.
I know it's gonna be probably hard to pinpoint just one, but as a DM, when do you think it's been a moment that you've been DMing and the party just takes things completely different direction and it works out in a way, but it's just completely unexpected that you just thought, what the hell just happened today in that session?
Like pinpoint just any memory, because that happens a lot. That happens more than you would like to
Hard, but
know.
yeah, just one that you think stands out right there. That
The one that stands out because it's more recent memory was I created a character who was a sniper assassin named Null for their Marvel campaign, and she worked for the first main bad guy they had. And I totally intended for her to die in the fight with them because Daniel's character, Deja Vu, can touch people, and he has Shift Z, which is like the highest you can get without being like a god power of turning stuff into other things. So he could just touch people and turn them to sand and kill them. So I was expecting the fight to go on and Daniel to be like, I've had enough of this, die. Or Chanel to be like, I gateway you in half, like cut you in half. But
Gateway,
they
yes.
ended up Daniel secured her in a steel coffin, except for her head, which was free so she could breathe. And then Chanel teleported her or gatewayed her to a desert island where she basically interrogated this poor woman until they became friends.
Now we
And
can.
yeah, and now she's a main cast member and an NPC in the group. She's their Boblin the Goblin.
Yes, and we love her.
So that would be what stands out in recent memory of you guys going completely against what I had planned. Because I'd planned for her to be in the final fight with the Reaper, and it just didn't happen that way.
I have one of those stories, if I can share.
Yeah, go
Oh,
for it.
yeah.
Um, I was, I think this was the second, fifth edition campaign I was DMing. But I had the framework for this like expansive storyline to just like fall into place as the characters like explored the world that I created. Um, and the tee off was a village elder bursting into like the typical tavern, and then like crying out for help for just anybody. But my players absolutely ignored this woman and like I like threw her in front of them like multiple times,
I know.
and like each time they like just blatantly ignored the quest like drop.
Yeah.
The bait.
Like yeah, and it was I had planned there for there to be like consequences if they like chose not to do different things. Like it was going to start with the characters had to go rescue this orphaned Tabaxi girl who was kidnapped by Tabaxis who were also slavers and were trying to like sell children. But if they were able to find the girl in time, uh, another orphan who was cared for by the village elder uh, would stick around and would be like, "Oh, like you're like awesome adventures, like holy cow, like great, like I want to be like you." It's just like an inspiring moment for this side character. And if they didn't, and if like the girl like got like shipped off before they were able to save her, like the opposite thing was going to happen. It was going to be like, well, no, like these people are worthless, and he's going to like go on this completely different route where he's going to like re-encounter the group again, but then be like a villain later on.
Ooh.
And like I had all these plans,
All these
all
plots
these
and
plans.
plans.
Yeah,
He was
and
cooking up
like,
with some plots and plans.
dude, it was gonna end with the creation of vampires
Ooh.
Ooh.
in that world. Oh man,
Well,
it was
you can
intense.
always tuck it in your back pocket and reuse it. That's the beautiful thing
Yeah,
about stuff that doesn't see the light of day. You can just tweak it and reuse it, and
No,
right.
no.
if you're good at what you do, they won't know any better.
Yeah.
That was a nice tangent. I like that. That was good. That was fun. Um, let's talk about our utility and our tools we got. How many dice are you sitting on, Eric? What if you had to guesstimate the number of sets? What's your hoard looking like?
Mm.
Is it growing still, or are you?
Little by little, the most recent set I got was my the first like set of expensive dice that I've ever purchased for myself. It was a set of Labradorite dice.
Ooh.
I think you showed me
Uh,
those ones. Those ones are fucking slick.
yeah, um, they like they look pretty dark and unassuming at most angles, but then if you catch the light at the right angle, it's like iridescent green and blue,
Oh, nice.
and it like lights up, like it glows, like it's outstanding. Um, but I have like a pencil box filled with dice. I have a what is it? It's an Ultra Pro deck box, just the plastic kind. If anybody plays Magic the Gathering,
Mm-hmm.
filled with dice. I have a number of, I think like 3 or 4 sets that are just in their boxes somewhere. Like those plastic,
Yeah, the little black and clear containers.
right? Yeah. Oh, and then I usually buy EDH decks again for Magic the Gathering. So I have a lot. Wow.
If you had
Yeah, I
to
don't know if
just
I can count how many. Maybe like 20 plus.
that's a good amount. I
Yeah.
think I'm sitting on 20 or so. If I had to guess, I can count like 14 right now, and then I have like bags of dice. Like I got my Shadowrun D6 bag.
Yeah.
I got my
Yeah.
little tiny bags. Um,
Shadowrun needs it.
yeah, needs a lot of fucking dice, a bucket of them. Daniel, how's your collection looking? If are you proud of it? How many dice sets you got?
So I have, I believe last time we counted, was it 12? 7 or 12, something like that.
12.
I think it was 12 dice sets that I have, which is funny because when I first started playing, anyone out there who plays D&D and is probably gonna hate me right now, but I was that player that didn't get dice for over a year. So every
Oof.
time I would go play D&D, I would just ask for borrowed dice from all the players in my first campaign I played. To the point where the players would buy me dice and be like, "Here, we bought you dice to be nice, quote unquote." But in reality, it's just like it's annoying, you know?
Stop using my shit.
Yeah. So, but now I have I became a hoarder of dice. But recently, what I've been doing that I've really been enjoying, but it's kind of part is I've been buying sets of dice for specific characters. So, for example, in my Marvel campaign, my character wears like this green suit with like different shades, and I bought this dice set that has that color scheme.
Yeah.
And from the moment I bought them, I was like, whether they roll well, whether they roll, high number heavy, low number heavy, average, whatever they roll, these are his dice, and he's gonna have to deal with this however it goes. And that's what I've been doing with all my characters. I've been buying them dice, so it's scary, but it's fun because that's my player at that point.
Yeah, it separates the dice set. Makes it kind of special. Like
Yeah.
when I play, when I get to play, I use my oldest set, not my first set because I lost those, but I have my oldest set that are worn and my D4's chipped. Um, but yeah, I'm the same way. If I play, I tend to pick a dice set for the character. Um, Chanel, how many sets do you have?
I didn't finish counting them, but I was at 18.
Ooh, mama.
Yeah,
That's a nice word.
I have a Kirby makeup bag. It was supposed to be a makeup bag, full of dice overflowing. I need a bigger one. But
That's
yeah, 18 plus.
That's another thing. I'm so OC. I have to have my sets separated. Like you and Daniel have your bags. I cannot
Yeah.
do that. I need my dice separated in their sets.
I have my favorite set that I've been using all like this whole time separated. Like I'll separate the sets that I'm feeling at the time, but the rest of them are like my brain chaotic and just all in one bag.
All in one bag.
Speaking of dice, what do you guys make of the new D4? That little square
Oh
one?
God.
Caltrop or
Wait,
no?
I don't know if I've seen this.
It's a square D4 with rounded edges, like a rounded top and a rounded bottom. It's like a D6 but with a round top and bottom. So only one, two, three, and four are on the sides. It's kind of like a dreidel.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Yes, I
it
can picture it. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it air quotes rolls better and isn't a sharp caltrop that you'll find.
It has like the same wrap pattern of like a tennis ball,
Yeah,
but
a
then
little
it's
bit.
like flat on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can picture it.
What do you think of that? Are you a caltrop man?
The cow chop rolls like shit. So yeah, I think I'm for a new D4 shape.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I love my caltrop.
Me too.
Maybe it's just because I'm comfy cozy with it, or I hate change, but
I mean, I don't hate the caltrop. I'm just
it
it
does
just
roll
rolls
poor.
bad.
Yeah. It doesn't roll. You flip it and it lands.
Yeah, that's what you get for being triangles, the sturdiest shape. Well, I guess except for spheres.
Like an egg. What do they say? If you can hold an egg, you can stand on an egg if you could hold it like dead straight.
Right?
Because the
Yeah.
air in it or whatever.
Some feature of its like shell.
Yeah, it's something. It could be a fucking urban legend for all I know, but I remember
Yeah.
hearing something about that. Chanel and Daniel, do you have strong opinions on the D4?
Yes, I like my four. I don't like change. So,
I don't like
I don't like change.
I
So
don't like change.
it's okay if I step on it. I mean, I'll curse like a sailor. I still like it pointy.
Yeah, it needs to be. I don't know. It feels
Sure.
right. It looks right.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't feel right rolling it because it just plops, but I'm used to it.
I have something to confess. It's dumb when it comes to D4s, but I am sad that I've never stepped on one. I feel like that's part of
Ooh,
like an initiation thing, kind of like Legos,
Yeah.
but I've never stepped on one. I know that it would be really painful, but I feel like that's part of it. And I've never happened to me.
set one down and step on it right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on purpose.
I have one right here.
No,
Stand on
thank
it with
you.
all your weight and see what it feels like.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't good.
Hey, do
Manifest your desires.
yeah, just do it.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Yeah, seriously.
It doesn't cut if it's.
It sure does. I'll push you on one. Really fun.
They had a wrestling match in AEW where Peter Avalon or somebody was one of the geekier characters pulled out or no, it was Brandon Cutler, and he I think that's his name. He plays D&D. He threw out a bag of dice, and somebody was like, "Oh shit, hope there weren't D4s in there," and he tweeted back, "There were," and
Oh
he
no!
superplexed the guy from the top turnbuckle onto the dice.
Yikes.
But
Oh, man.
that would be fucking horrible. Imagine, but and there's something about the soft spot of the foot. It's like stepping on a tack.
Mhm.
It's so much more painful because it's like the soft little baby skin on your feet that don't get beaten very often unless you run around barefoot.
What about this shape?
The
A
diamond,
spindle.
the spindle. Yes,
Yeah.
the spindle looks good. I can
Yeah,
vibe with that.
yeah, I can vibe with that.
I like
It's
the
still
edges,
yeah,
Yeah.
still pointy.
and I
I
feel
feel
like
like
it would
this one
roll
you can
well.
like spin too. This is a
Fucking
die that you could like reasonably spin, except for Jaime.
Jaime, is this a roll?
Is this a roll?
Everything Jaime did, he
Oh
would like just pick
god.
it up and drop it. He's like, "Is that a roll?" I'm like, "Jaime, if you
Yeah.
have to ask, it's probably not a roll."
Right. Yeah.
And then it just became a running joke. He would just keep asking just random things.
Yeah.
I,
Um,
He'd
I
literally like just place it in his hand and then like put his hand on the table and then tilt it upward and have the die roll off it, and it'd be like, it just like plop plop.
I
yeah,
can't. I take the shit out of my dice and I roll them so hard they fall off my desk.
Yeah, I still don't have a dice tray.
I need one badly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
let's let's go into what games we're currently playing. What games are currently ongoing right now?
Oh, Jesus, that's gonna be a long list for
We
you.
have
Exactly, Scotty.
this is just part of the crew. There'll be more people in further podcasts, but we're playing the main campaign for me, air quotes main, is 3.5. We're playing in my homebrew world. They're level 17 and 18, and it's getting hard to challenge them. Just recently, they were in a dungeon with beholders, vampires dealing negative levels, an ancient dragon, fire giants, and they kicked ass. I was like worried throwing beholder like hive mother at them, but no, dude, they
Yeah.
handled good. So we're playing that. You guys want to talk about that a bit? What your characters are like? We already talked about Buck and Doe, but you want to talk about Bahaka?
Yeah, dude, Bahaka! He's such a cool character.
Sure is. I love your character.
Yeah. So my backstory for Bahaka was uh, a lich had assaulted a dragon's hoard and tried to steal from it, and then got chased back to the lich's own like lair, where the dragon killed it. And then, in the process of killing the lich, the dragon also destroyed the phylactery. So, like, in the midst of the transference, uh, whatever like life force was animating the lich had to find the nearest like body-shaped thing, and it found a gargoyle statue and animated it. But then, like, the consciousness of the lich had to like lie dormant because it like half failed its transference, or whatever. So that became Bahaka, my character, and he's gone through a lot of like transformations.
Yeah, two big
Um,
metamorphoses.
yeah, and then, like the point was like the lich was like trying to like work Bahaka's body into a vessel worth inhabiting, and he's now like a shadow creature that can like turn into a barghest, a bat, and like a hybrid kind of looking guy. But it's so much fun. This is the Hexblade Gestalt character who's got 1,000 prestige classes.
A bunch of levels. I
Yeah,
showed Chanel your sheet at the top, just how you like, because I was showing her how to like label out multiple prestige classes, and
yeah.
she just saw like those abbreviations. She's like, Jesus, and I was like, yeah, Eric goes hard.
Nice, Eric.
So like just to like read it, it's from Mythweaver's H9 DW5 NS2 M1 and then //. So that's like first half of the Gestalt, and then the second half is R1 C8 CI6A2 or AE2. But each of those is an abbreviation for a
Oh, I
class,
get
and
going.
it still can't fit on the Mythweaver's like
Oh,
little window.
you gotta like drag over to see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was it, just what was there.
No.
Oh, wow, Eric.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bahaka's really cool. He worships the god of he's called the Karthus, the pursuer, and he is very much like the god of like kind of like he's like the god of vengeance a little bit and like like wrathful spite. Like he hates the undead because he just loathes people who are trying to dodge fate. He's kind of like if you're trying to escape fate, he's the god that comes and gets you, and that's why he's called the pursuer. And yeah,
Makes a unique interaction for Bahaka to worship.
yeah,
I think.
because we have two necromancers in the party.
Yeah.
Isn't
Speaking
a
of
character that's dying and coming back?
speaking of necromancers, you want to talk about Mabel?
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Do you?
Mabel. Yeah, she's a necromancer. She's a drow. She has a happy-go-lucky family. She comes from um, a commune full of necromancers. So, they're happy-go-lucky, but they dig up bodies at night. She's very much an airhead and working on not being so gullible. The beginning of her story was just she was going on just a walkabout and she was giving out her money left and right. She was super broke. And then she met the rest of the party, heard them talk about needing money to revive one of the characters, which is Daniel's, and then just giving them the rest of her money.
Yeah, she fronted like like 3/4 of that cost.
Yeah, and then the leader, or we kind of put that person in that position, but having her tag along because they didn't trust that she was gonna be okay by herself.
Yeah, they kind of like adopted her. The party is a group of it's Bahaka, who started as a little bat-like gargoyle, turned into a humanoid-style Batman, and now he's red-eyed, what is like ashen skin, black hair, and he's
Yeah.
humanoid-looking. So
Mhm.
he can pass as one of the humanoid races now. You got I stole the idea from Breath of Fire. I'm putting this out there of the Brood. They're humanoids that can turn into dragons because dragons gave up their power. So we got two of them. One's a favored soul, which is a cleric essentially, and the other one's a dread necromancer. And they form, and we have a pixie ninja who can
Yeah.
pump out the damage when she needs to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they form a guild called Black Lotus, who is traveling the world doing they're an adventurers guild. And yeah, when they first met Mabel, she gave him 20,000, fronted 20K of the 25,000 to true resurrect one of the characters because Daniel's character Doe fell into lava and was completely consumed and destroyed. So they had to go for the super expensive 9th level spell, the True Resurrection.
Who did they get that from? How did they
The High
find
Cleric,
it?
the High Cleric in Urson, because it's a metropolis.
Okay.
There's at
Yeah.
least one 18th or 17th level caster there.
Mm.
She was the High Cleric of Artea. But yeah, Daniel's character, we already talked about Buck and Doe a bit. Is there anything else you want to say about Buck and Doe? You want to talk about how often they die?
They die very often.
Yeah, how many
They-
times is it now?
We counted today 5 times.
5 times.
5 times they've died. I like to think of it as 5 times they've resurrected. So
That makes them 4 times better than Jesus.
We're gonna start charging them rent for every time their bodies have to go in a bag of holding. Use that for the resurrection funds.
to be fair, you guys only played for 4 of them. One of them, they literally came back from death by pure sheer will.
And now they're a
And
wild
the
man.
power of Elminster, who happened to be hopping dimensions at the time.
Yeah, it wasn't like a super low roll that they had to like meet like an unlikely.
I rolled and it was a 1% chance, and I rolled 100 on my percentile. I would have taken a 99 or a 100. So, and I was just like, fuck. So they
But now
came
that
back to life as a wild bard now. So they roll on the wild magic table when they cast spells.
and they don't know this yet. So in game they don't know this yet because
It hasn't
nobody told
happened.
them that. Nobody warned them. So it hasn't happened yet because they keep getting lucky. But I'm gonna to whenever they try to cast a spell and something completely different happens, and
You're
it's
excited.
like,
I'm biting my nails.
whoa.
Yeah, just waiting for fucking him to just imprison himself or fireball the entire party.
Imagine he tries to like heal himself and just fireballs.
Mabel's usually standing next to him, so I'm just biting my nails anytime he rolls casts anything.
Yeah, but Babel doesn't know any better, so she's just like, doo-doo-doo.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I am biting my nails.
so that's the CERN campaign we're running. I'm running a Marvel game for both Eric and Daniel and Chanel that crossover sometimes,
hmm
We
which
have a
is a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing Marvel because I feel that it is just as important to show the everyday life of a superhero as it is to show them being super.
yes,
Because
absolutely.
it creates that juxtaposition. Like, you have that life you're trying to protect, and you don't want it to come in danger. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Marvel's just a whole lot of role playing, which I really enjoy.
So much fun.
I mean, you mentioned that, but that's kind of what makes playing Muta a little difficult because he just stands out so much.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I got ideas on that. You'll see.
Yeah.
I got ideas on that. I'm always thinking, I'm always writing ideas.
Which is another like amazingly just creative character.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go over our Marvel characters now. We'll start with Eric. Eric, you are playing a character called Contabilis Muta.
Yeah. He's a homebrew. Well, I guess it's Marvel, so every character is kind of homebrew. But
Yeah.
I made
An entire
sorry,
race.
I have mustache hairs curling up into my nose. It's very distracting. Um, yeah, I made a race for Marvel Dynas. There it is. Dynas sub race. There. But it's an insectoid race that works sort of like a beehive or an ant colony, and then they share a lot of like visual similarities to rhinoceros beetles. So Muta has like this like really dark, like thick exoskeleton, and he has two or four limbs, and then he has two like super teensy little like arms that are attached to his like midsection. He doesn't like use them for anything. And then he has like three like, or well, I guess not. Oh yeah, the art that I'm using doesn't have three horns, but
Yeah, one of them's broke,
in
but
my in my mind he does. Um,
in my mind.
yeah. Um, they they function like they rely a lot on sound in order to communicate, and Muta is like a mutant among the mutant or among the alien race, so he has particularly powerful sound manipulation abilities, and he can even disintegrate stuff. Um, but yeah, I had a blast making this character, and then
And again, Eric goes hard. Like, it's like a 4 or 5
yeah,
page PDF document, and he made like
it's 10
he made
pages.
10 pages. Yeah, even more, 10 pages, and he made stat blocks for like the tiers of things in the colony, like the paladins
Yeah.
and the like
hmm
queen. Like, he I don't have a whole lot of work I have to do to integrate his stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
And he's making another character. We'll keep that one secret, but that one is also like 15, 20 pages,
Yes, yeah. I
which is
like
super in depth, which I like. I'm gonna read that tomorrow morning before we play.
yeah. One of the character ideas I went with Muta was that or where I don't know if this is like a spoiler or anything, but we're playing a mishmash of Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
So Muta was like just doing his regular job, serving his queen on whatever Dynasty flotilla was floating through space or whatever, and then some sort of political rival arranged Nova Corps to have him exported and mind wiped as a dangerous animal, and then dumped on a planet, and then he got dumped on Earth. Whoa, whoa, crazy!
What a coincidence.
But so I didn't rate a lot of backstory because he like his backstory was he got mind wiped. But then with this new character, I was like, no, let's write out the whole thing. So there's
Yeah, I have a lot to work with as a DM.
yeah.
Which is
This is
just
also 8 pages.
Jesus, Eric.
I thought that one was long, but it's oh no, because the other one has stat blocks and that one has like all your your contacts like histories as well, which is good.
Contacts histories, yeah.
Yeah, he wrote like a full page for the character's history, maybe a little more, and then for each character he wrote like a full like paragraph, like 6 to 10 sentences of like their history.
So for like as I like rolled up my character, she just ended up having they ended up having a lot of contacts, and I thought that I would just work it in so that they would encounter each other at different stages throughout the character's life, and I built a lot of her backstory around that. But yeah, so each of the contacts is like actually like for reals, like built into the character.
Yeah, like interwoven into the meat in their bones.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, you are very happy with Deja Vu. You tried to change your answer to him as your favorite character, but we wouldn't let you.
No.
Yeah.
You want
Jerks.
to talk about Deja Vu?
Deja Vu is amazing, guys.
Mm?
Well, what
This
is he?
Yeah.
So okay, here's the thing, guys. He is a um he's a Inca native from the past, obviously. Um and I'm from South America, so I'm not appropriating.
Not that it would matter. You're not being offensive in your role playing, so who cares?
So yeah, so he's an Inca native, and he when he was young got these powers. He got the powers to teleport, he got the powers to time travel, and he got the power to manipulate, I mean to turn pretty much um rearrange molecules or atoms to turn things from one thing to another. So I could grab a box of cardboard and turn it into a box of paper or flashy, whatever it might be. I could turn it into anything at that point. So this guy, being able to time travel, he was able to develop a system by the means with which he got his powers, where he can go back in time, and pretty much pass his essence, his memories, his skills, everything he's learned onto his younger self. And the older one kind of retires, just does whatever the fuck he wants for the rest of his life until he dies, and the younger person lives on. So now he's been around for many, 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 many years. He's been through all the wars. He's been through all the pretty much human existence because he was from an early time before even we have anything recorded. Um, and he was also I invented this mafia type of this type of mafia, but um, in the Central and South Americas. That's kind of like the Yakuza and everything. They're pretty much in control of all the illegal activity happening. And at one point in the past, he became one of the top guys. So he has a cool story that way, and then he's just. But his bad fault is because every superhero has to have a weakness or some sort of issue. Well, they all have issues. Is that because he lives forever and he pretty much gets away with anything, he never has to pay for anything because he just teleports into place and everything. He tends to feel a disconnection from humanity and from people. So he tries to be good, which is how he started the game. He started the game trying to be good, but not actually being good, but just scared of losing his humanity. And now he's actually good because his team members brought that humanity back upon him at that point, and his girlfriend that they're currently on a break because she's also kind of he's very smart. He's a scientist, but he's not wise.
No, all those years and he hasn't.
Got any wisdom?
So in the way my character works, all those years that he's lived, a lot of immortal people they tend to keep all the memories, but he still has a human mind in a sense. So he's had different personalities, he's had different memories and everything. So sometimes he'll remember something from the past and he'll just have to tell the story right away because he'll never know when he's gonna remember it again. So his wisdom is always sometimes high, sometimes low, depending on what he remembers and what he doesn't and what part of existence he's in.
It
And he
would
does
be hard to keep track of everything with 1,000-year lifespan plus. It would be hard to
exactly.
keep track, which makes sense, but it doesn't help in his day to day.
It does not. It does not.
He makes a lot. He puts his foot in his mouth a lot as his character, which is endearing in a way. Um, and his partner, Celine,
Yes.
is Chanel's character. Do you want to talk a little bit about Celine?
Yes. The epitome of fucking chaos. She is a demon that. Well, it started with her not remembering her past, much like Muta, but kind of similar for different reasons. They also had their mind wiped at some point by a not so good guy. She met two other people, one of them being Deja Vu, and then just by circumstance and having to figure out what they were doing, eventually they got their memories back and she remembered demon sent out to the world to basically create chaos and other sorts of shenanigans. And yeah, she is very much not a good person, but tries to be.
He's
For
been
a
getting
demon, she's
better.
very good.
Yeah, she's gotten better. Working on it. Yeah, I love her powers. Just gateways, dark force, warding. She can give other people powers. She can summon creatures, well, hellish creatures.
She has her own realm.
Yeah, like she got her own realm, like Raven.
Yeah, that she uses as a dumping ground for corpses all the time.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah,
It's haunted.
it's haunted. Yeah, she
Well,
doesn't mind.
it's haunted because she tortured a man to death in the basement, and it's a hellish plane.
Yeah,
So his kind of that evil just kind of stuck around.
That's
yeah.
She
spook.
also tell her team members that my team, my character Danny slipped over one night, and she slept like an angel, and he was just being fucking tormented the whole night.
Yeah,
But yeah,
basically,
she's an edgelord, so she has a tragic backstory, but she tries not to think about it.
I think all the characters in Marvel have tragic backstories.
Yeah, it's also sad for people that party so much.
That's why they party so much.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's casts of NPCs, just because
Mhm.
fill out the roster. You gotta have a superhero team, and those are unique to their own games. Muta has a Jolene Taylor, a psychokinetic gifted warrior, and then Celine and Deja Vu started with Sean Graham, who has a symbiote like Venom and Carnage. And it's just expanded from there. Just their
Yeah.
rogues galleries expanded. Muta and Celine and Danny met up and had a team mission. That was a lot of fun.
It
Yeah.
was so much fun.
But yeah, those are the pains we're running. Let's wind it down now. Let's just last thing for now because we're almost at 2 hours. What's Eric? We'll start with Eric. Eric, what's your favorite tabletop RPG moment that you're
Favorite moment?
so far in your career that you're just like, dude, fuck yeah, when you think back on it?
Oh, okay. It's a Star Wars Saga. I think. I know it was Star Wars Saga or Star Wars, and we used regular dice. I forget which edition it was, but it was whichever edition had Destiny points.
That's Saga.
Okay, all right. So my character, um, I don't know if we were really in the place of Obi-Wan and Anakin, but
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
my character, and then I think it was just me and Scotty playing this game.
Yeah.
We encountered Count Dooku in
On Geonosis.
on Geono's similar situation as Attack of the Clones, where he's trying to escape. But every character had a destiny, and you could pick things like destruction or like knowledge or
Like
I don't know.
education.
Right? Yeah. It was an array of purposefully ambiguous like terms. And my character's destiny was, I think it may have been specific to Count Dooku, or just like towards the dark side, which is whoa generic. But we encountered Count Dooku in his cave as he was trying to escape with his solar sailor, the thing with the giant sail that like unfurls.
Yeah, the
And
giant like
we
glowing net out front.
yeah, we got there before Count Dooku arrived. So my character, like understanding what kind of ship it is, went towards the front and just like lightsabered through each of the four like beams that like contain the sail, and then walked around, went inside, and then turned the lightsaber over, and then just like dragged it through the console, just to completely destroy the ship and make it inoperable. And then walked out, and then we encountered Count Dooku, and a fight ensued. And I don't remember if I was like particularly like close to death, or if your character had died or something. There was some like triggering moment. I don't know, but
I think it was Dooku. I think he like critted you or something. He hit hard and
yeah,
he's like full attacked or something.
yeah, that may have been it. Yeah, because he's like an expert lightsaber duelist.
Right, the
Um,
Makashi form.
yeah, but my character expended his destiny point
Which,
to
by the way, Destiny Point lets you do stuff far and away beyond like action die. Like you can spend a Destiny Point and be like auto hit, auto crit, or you can be like I completely avoid this incoming damage.
Damn.
yeah. So it's just like intensely powerful thing, but you only get one if you like achieve your destiny. You know that's what the destiny point's for. Um, so my character used his destiny point and picked up the remains of the solar sailor and just threw it into Dooku. And I don't think I killed him outright, but
You fucked
I
him
think
up.
I think I brought him to the throat because Star Wars uses wound points and health points, but I think I brought him to like the threshold of death.
Yeah, he was on the verge of death. If I remember correctly, he had to escape on that stupid little motorcycle into the desert, like
Mm.
the little hover bike.
Yeah.
He was just all wounded. He was like, ooh." I
Yeah.
think it was Obi-Wan and Anakin when the ship like lurched and Padme fell out. I think Anakin and Obi-Wan fell out as well, and I think that's why you guys were on the ship and like we still gotta go.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's why you ended up there. But yeah, that was a funny moment. I remember you're just like, I'm gonna fucking destroy it, and I was like,
Mm.
how? You're like, I'm just gonna lightsaber the sail and then lightsaber the console, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, it's not made of like vibra-steel or whatever.
Yeah, Mandalorian iron.
Yeah, Mandalorian iron. Yeah.
Or what's it called? Oh my gosh, it's the lightsaber. It's lightsaber resistant material. I forget. I'll find it later.
There's
But
one that starts with an F.
Cortosis.
Yeah.
Cortosis
Yeah.
weave. That's the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very moment. I just remember you crushing Dooku with that ship.
Yeah.
Daniel, what would you say your most memorable tabletop moment has been?
Before I say anything, I want to say that you said we're gonna cool down, and that was an intense story.
Well,
like
we'll end with. I said we'll cool down, but we're ending with a bang.
Yeah.
my most memorable moment. Shit, I don't know. That's a hard one.
Something you think fondly back on.
That's not for me because I think of the cards as a whole. I don't think of like specific moments. But you're gonna hate me. You're gonna
What?
hate me So on our Marvel campaign, it's not PG-13.
Dumb.
Oh my gosh.
It's fine.
Oh my god. My
Where
hands are sweaty.
where he spends most of his karma.
Yeah.
Ah,
Karma, dude.
ah.
That's why when we play with Eric, I'm like, just use the karma, Eric. This is the most useful way of spending karma we've ever had.
Oh
Danny's
gosh.
girlfriend is this Asgardian masterpiece, and
Valkyrie.
every time they sleep together, Danny puts 100% effort. And one time,
Maximal effort.
You don't have sex with Mac. It's like
I'm trying to figure out how
Simpsons.
to word it to not be too vulgar.
No, dude, it's like The Simpsons. You don't sleep with Max Powers. You strap yourself in and feel the G's.
But this one time, she was mad at him, but she got drunk. So she just went all out on him, and vice versa, and it was intense. So that's one semi-recent moment I could think of. Um, but yeah, I think that's one of the moments that I could think of that's like a specific moment.
Of course it would be. Do you think you can top that one, Chanel?
My moment there's two, but they're the most memorable one is Greenleaf when we went to save this town and we met up with an old king, and Scotty's character pelted him with coins, saying, "Is this what you want?"
He was a horrible king. Right? He was trying to amend his horribleness, but Scotty's characters and Celine's and Chanel's character were not having it. They were like, "We'll save your kingdom and take
But not
it,
you.
but not you." So they grabbed the money that he gave him and they put it in a sock and started hitting him with it and chucking money at him. Like, "Is this what you want?"
I made a joke. I took his slippers off, tied them together, and threw him over like a tree branch, like a
And then
telephone pole.
Smoke.
And then you were gonna smother him with the pillow.
Yes,
at
I
the end.
was. I was ready
And
to kill him.
Daniel's character, his DMPC, made us high, so we couldn't.
No,
And then
remember? He tried to breathe the smoke on me. I passed the save, so I inhaled his smoke and breathed it in the guy's face.
yeah, but he made it seem like he died, but he didn't. We still think he's dead. And another memorable moment is also with Scotty, because we did a bunch of stupid shit in that campaign, was when we first met Scotty's character. We went on our first kind of mission as a team or separate, and we went into this tower with no exits, and Scotty's character rammed headfirst into this extremely sturdy wall, knocked himself out, and then we blew up the wall and let him think that he saved us.
And he still thinks that.
He still thinks that to this day.
I have another moment. I have
That
another
makes me
moment.
think of Kalima. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah, Kalima!
Kalima!
Trying to jump through walls. Eric tricked this guy into thinking he could, like, because Eric's guy
No,
could.
you did
Oh,
it.
yeah, I
You
could.
went up to the wall and
Yes!
use like phase shift or something and passed
Yeah!
through the wall of this flying vessel that I had given my characters like a foolish fool. But he like put his hand up to the wall and made it like super like ceremonial, and he said Kalima as like he like went into the ship and used phase shift to just pass through the wall of like the outer hull of the ship, and then we had this our like Boblin the Goblin character, who was like, okay, and then like he ran up and like launched himself at the wall and said Kalima and just went whack and smacked up against the wall and slid back down.
Oh
Poor
no!
guy.
Oh
I
my
totally
gosh.
forgot
Very
it
much
was
it
me.
was there was this one time. So like I like I mentioned earlier, I sometimes DM one campaign. So I don't have too much experience DMing, so I'm not sure about how much to disclose and how much not to. And I was DMing, and the group, the adventurers, were looking for this leader of this rebellious group in the woods, and uh, and they found a camp in the woods.
Oh no!
So they were like, okay, that's a camp. That's gotta be them. So they said we're not gonna risk it. Everybody's in their tents, so they just rolled out and set all the tents on fire. Um, to try to kill the all the rebellious people that they were trying to find.
The bad guy.
Well, the bad guys. Now, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna put a tent in this town because there's gonna be like people around, and there's gonna be like some information here that they can get. So my goal was for them to arrive and be like, hey, what's going on? What's being here? I didn't think they would assume and not check that they were not the bad guys. So they ended up murdering by burning a bunch of innocent people. Like there were families, so there were children, women, men, like there was everything. To the point that one of the
Jesus.
characters who organized the action, she was a holy person, and that lives had some regrets on her life. It broke her, so she ended up leaving
Yeah.
and disappearing for a long time because she could not deal with the guilt of what she had done. And in my head, I was like, "What is happening?"
Wow.
I'm like, I should have told them somehow, like, "Hey, you see a kid walk out of the tent or something."
Yeah,
So
anything.
I didn't think about it.
everything bad guy led us to that tent. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
yeah, it was completely my fault as poor DMing, but oh my god, I could have even just been like, whatever. Let's just say that there were bad guys inside and just change the story. But I'm not, I wasn't that good on the spot.
And the thing that
As a
broke
kid.
us was he described the teddy bears.
I always
Talking
describe
teddy
everything.
bears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Jesus.
all or nothing.
I had my players. Well, I'll end with two stories. One's a quick one. In my world, again, dragons are humanoids that can transform into dragons. And in the God campaign that Eric was playing in, he was still in Evander at this time. They fought a dragon and killed it, a white dragon,
Oh.
and they decided to consume it, to eat it, for
No.
some reason. So they all woke up the next morning and saw this thing. They ripped scales off the dragon. They took its eyes. They took its heart, and they found this just mutilated human corpse outside the next morning.
Oh my
And
god.
they realized that they had ate a person. And
Oh my gosh.
Steven's character Wef just started crying and started putting the meat back on the person, trying to put them back together.
Like
Was
jigsaw puzzle?
Man.
Yeah, he made a human effigy out of a human.
wasn't the person
God.
their old companion or something like that?
What's
Like
up?
someone they knew? Because I heard the story about it wasn't that dragon that they ate someone they knew or something like that.
No, no, it was
No.
just a dragon.
Oh,
Just happened to be out
Dragons
there.
were like super rare at that time though.
Yeah, the dragons hadn't left
Yeah.
their continent in a while. But and my just all-time favorite story. I was playing with my cousin David. He was DMing at the time. He was my DM, and we were Knights of the Thorn, and we were with this guy Roderick, and he described him as having beautiful gilded armor with like gems encrusted in it, and he looked like what's his name from Lost Odyssey, the guy in the gold armor. I forget his name. Uh,
Yep.
but anyway,
The prince.
yeah, the prince. He had just blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, and we had to go down this mountain or not this like waterfall, and we could take the road around or we can go straight down. We had rope, and I was like, "Fuck this! We have rope. Let's climb down." In full plate, the idiot I am. My big check penalty. I made it about 20 feet down and snapped the rope and fell all the way down. Lost about all my hit points. Took like 12d6 on the fall. Swam to shore. My cousin David's like, well, I'll just climb to the end of the rope and then drop and dive. That's all I can do. Gets 5 feet down, snaps. So Roderick has no rope to climb down now, mind you. So my cousin hits the ground and comes floating over to us. And I was like, I'm gonna bluff Roderick. I'm gonna tell him the water is really deep and he should just dive off the cliff. He'll make it.
No.
I roll a nat 20 on the bluff. So David was like, you see him disappear from the edge, and then he comes running and leaps and just perfect swan dive form, hands out, head first, just bloop, not even a splash as he goes boop into the water, and you never saw him again.
Oh my gosh! No! Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
The
only assume
shame
he
in all these
died.
things. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the shame on all these things is that the DMs allowed this thing.
Oh, he was losing his shit laughing too.
Well, that was Daniel with us, just always laughing
Always
as we horrible things.
What else can you do?
D&D is all about laughing while doing war
Yeah.
crimes. I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, this was a good talk. I enjoyed talking with you guys about D&D. This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Any
Yeah.
last thoughts you have on your mind?
Yeah, have fun. You're playing with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun.
Don't be so attached to things.
Yeah. Death happens.
Lower your expectations for your own enjoyment.
Be
Exactly.
flexible too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good place to call it there. Until next time on Dice Chatter, we will all see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.